Okay, once again, we're back again with some more matches after so many other close ones. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the O2 Mania LN Tournament 4th edition. Back again with another round of 16 match. We've got two players in the losers bracket going to be facing each other, going to see who's going to be advancing into the conditionals tomorrow. Going to be none other than Miniac 23, seed 23 as it is in the title, going up against the likes of klobuck, seed 36. Unfortunately, not having 36 in their name, but both of these players reigning from countries that are practically on the polar opposite ends of each other. United Kingdom being on its own island, while Poland is practically conjoined with like majority of the other countries that exist out here in the European Union. So once again, I'm your host Epic Man 2, and joining alongside me this time is going to be none other than fellow Chilean Titan himself, Muchi. What is rockin'?
Hello everyone, and welcome to this exciting match. Like, this match, I feel like this could easily go to tiebreaker. Without those players, Miniac, one of the best LM players in the United Kingdom, and klobuck, the best, if not the best tournament player in Poland. Like, this could go either way, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. Both these players are highly reputable profiles within their own countries, so it definitely makes a little more sense that I would feel that this whole match alone is gonna allow for some pretty hefty competition here, and we can already kind of see it here as we get the rolls done and dusted. 94 points on the side of Miniac, and klobuck rolls about 70 points in equation, so Miniac gonna be winning. It's now up to them whether he wants to try and pick some protects first, or if he wants to get the first pick, rather.
Yeah, I feel like Miniac will go for the coordination side of things. Like, he's an excellent player when it comes to releases and whatnot, and klobuck maybe just going instead for the wildcards and density picks, as he's a really good physicality player and can use hold his accuracy through all of the dance patterns overall.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that when it comes to one of these categories, at least, it's going to have to come down to some of the more... It's going to have to come down to the fair discrepancy of the less physical maps for Miniac, perhaps, and then klobuck. Definitely a lot more physical in that factor as well. So definitely makes a little more sense if they were to go out their way to protect and perhaps pick some of the more physical maps to try and catch Miniac out. But it is going to be the protect coming out from Miniac first, in which there is quite a bunch of options for him. As we mentioned, coordination would be a pretty fair pick for him to choose out. Maybe something like coordination 2, but turns out it's actually going to be tech 1. So that's Kamui going to remain on the board, going to be defended and shielded from any sign of, well, anything that'll take it out of the map hole, really.
I mean, yeah, this technical pick makes a lot of sense actually, because this is pretty release heavy, all things considered. It has a couple of patterns that can catch a couple of grades on. Like, the short islands on this are pretty rough to get on. When I tried this, my side rate was like 4 or 5 grades, so this is no joke. And I think this could be a really good protect for Miniac actually.
Yeah, absolutely. In general, I feel like some of our modern maps, so to say, would probably be in the favor of Miniac, at least. And we see klobuck responding to that with Tech 1 Protect with protecting Coordination 1, so definitely a very bold choice. This one is a lot more captivating when it comes to the mental stamina aspect of it, especially with this one going to be ramping up that of the coordination 1s from all the other pools in question, which were already very highly focused on some of the more nerve-oriented patterns. And this one is basically just going to be reaching the edge of it just before we see it change into something else. But that's going to be it for the protects. We now see Density 1 being banned out the board. So that's going to be Full Metal Dipshizer being taken off the board here.
Yeah, I guess this makes sense, as this is a pretty long pick overall, and I feel the stress from playing this in a tournament setting can get to klobuck a little bit, so maybe banning Density 1 could be a good call, especially with Miniac being really good at this kind of slow density picks. I say slow, but it's just like around the 200 BPM, but it's still pretty pretty strong in the side of releases and whatnot.
Yeah, Density 1 is definitely a lot more awkward and contrarian to Density 2 and Density 3 if you were to put the three together, because of how it utilizes control a lot more instead of just being straightforward run-of-the-mill jump stream out in the vein of LNs that you would usually see in, you know, most tournaments for that matter.
Yeah,
that said, oh sorry. No,
I was just gonna say it's kind of a different density style, because usually when you play in an MWC and all the tournaments of the likes of it, you see the density pings just being like pretty fast and pretty comfortable, all things considered. But this kind of density pick is just pretty different. And we go with the Epic Man 2 map, actually, Wildcard 3, the Snoop Dogg map. And I think this is going to be really close, just starting things off.
Get Wi-Fi anywhere you go. Oh my goodness.
Hold up.
Bam 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 bam. Yeah. Oh my god.
This thing is just so funny, man.
I literally waited way too long to upload this. Like, I literally made the map in February of last year. That's how old it is. Like, it's never been changed, like, ever since then, from that moment on. So it's literally just been like that since it, like, I don't know, was first made, and now it's actually uploaded, finally. So I get to see everyone, I don't know, being either happy or upset about this map in particular.
I mean, this is a pretty good map actually, but we're going to see how these players are going to be facing this, because this is the first pick of the match, and if you're klobuck, maybe you don't want to see a breakpoint starting things off, but as we see so far, pretty good start from Niniac, and klobuck just 0.2 down the accuracy side of things, but still pretty close.
Yeah, so far both these players are doing really well, but there isn't really anything drastic to be seeing going into the start of this round. But overall, this is actually surprisingly a very popular opening map for each of these matches that we have been seeing. So, especially with the fact that it offers quite a bunch of you on your table with how many patterns that it tests you on, it really kind of opens up for one of these more straightforward safe picks, despite how odd some of these patterns are in certain places.
Yeah, I get this being popular because it's pretty comfortable to FC. It's just the accuracy that could affect you through all this map, and that's gonna be the case for Miniax right here, as he's holding out to with the 99.76 actually. klobuck is a little bit behind 1,000 points of difference, still pretty close, and we see a grid actually from Miniac and a miss from klobuck actually, and this is going to be really huge for Miniac as we get at the last quarter of the map.
Yeah, that miss from klobuck's definitely going to claw that score over to the side of Miniac for the time being. Gonna objectify that score lead going into the chorus. The part that arguably everyone probably already knows, have they been on YouTube during about, I don't know, 2014, 2015 perhaps? I mean,
it's been a long time.
Just in the song. Yeah, exactly. Exactly that.
Yes, we approached this last couple of nodes, and I think this is going to be a pretty convincing lead for Miniac. 16,000 points of difference, just off the misses of klobuck and the grades as well. Only 5 grades to start things off from Miniac. Pretty strong start. And that's going to be the first point for him, actually.
Yeah, very nice scores from both these players as well to start the match off, and now going to be the first map. Going to be winning off of their own first pick, trying to make a bold impression going into this round with perhaps one of the more popular maps that we have in this map pool, which is funny, ironically enough. But that said, I believe it's klobuck's turn to pick now, so I feel like it wouldn't be. I feel like the main thing for klobuck here was would probably to be picking into some of the more physical maps. So we're gonna be seeing Coordination 2 being thrown out here as well. So yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty good pick actually. I've seen a lot of players missing this, because this is pretty heavy on the chills and whatnot, and the releases as well are pretty hard to get on. So I think Klobuck is probably just going to go for an FC and wait for Miniac to miss, because as we saw, Miniac is having the AC advantage, so could be a good call if Klobuck can FC this and Miniac can get some pretty rough misses or AC probes, if anything.
Yeah, exactly. This map is definitely something that allows for a lot of competition, especially going into some of the earlier rounds of each match, especially because of how the LNs are utilizing this. This is very release oriented and also highly shield oriented as well. So definitely a bit of a fair breakaway from Chase Me, as we've seen from the round of 32 bracket. This is a lot more the technical side of things in Contrarian, rather than kind of being close to the more straightforward, blurring the line between density and coordination type of map, really.
Yeah, this is pretty different from last week's coordination too. Actually, this is a lot more technical, a lot more heavy on the releases I said before, so we're going to see, because this is Klobuck's pick, and if he loses this, he is going to be in a really rough position.
Yeah, exactly. In which, with this map, it definitely makes sense for this one to be picked out, just because I feel like klobuck here would probably be looking to try and pierce the shield that of Minieg's nerve control, which is definitely, I feel, the main thing that gets contested on when it comes to this map specifically, just because you have a lot of these anchory patterns and a lot of these jacks as well that are thrown in. Some of these really short LNs as well from the likes of Juan Crystal, who practically most people know for their very distinctive style in LN, especially.
Yeah, we have seen it through all of these years, but I was gonna say Club is having a bit of difficulties in the X side of things with Miniac as well. This is pretty close, down to the 1000 points and 0.1 difference of accuracy. So I think this is pretty good for Klobuck if we see a couple of grits, but this is a little bit of a break and players are going to be able to build their act back. If anything, we see a 200 actually from Miniac, and this is getting a lot closer.
Yeah, definitely a bit of an interesting one, and an interesting situation at that as well, because it seems like even though klobuck has been kind of finding themselves in a bit of a disadvantage going into some of the latter parts of this map, so is Miniac as well, even with having the better end of the stick here, having the upper hand in terms of score line as well going into the final core, where it still capitalizes on a lot of these really odd releases that you need to try your best to act through, because if you don't entirely brute force your way through a lot of these patterns, then it can open up for a lot of really nasty misjudgments as well, and we can see the score slightly decreasing on the side of Miniac as well. And here comes the miss right there, as I say it, right on time, and unfortunately going to be making it 5,000 points for the side of klobuck going into the very final few seconds of the map. It is really just down to the ending, and that is going to be it. The client is a little scuffed right there, but I think it would have been too late anyways, even if there was another miss from klobuck, maybe.
Yeah, it seems like it. The client just doing its thing as usual. We are seeing Miniac finish the map. I don't think it will be enough, even if Miniac was able to build the combo back, because it was actually in a slider break. I thought it was a miss, but slider break is gonna be the determinant thing to klobuck, and he's going to be taking his own point. This is a pretty good start from both players, taking their own picks, and now we're tied again.
Yeah, this definitely was a bit of a risky pick in general, just because of the fact that both these players have gotten pretty good scores. The ratio was very similar in terms of perfects. It was just the grades that would have costed it, if not for that one slider break from the side of Miniac. So, but that is a risk well taken, in my opinion, to be able to see the gap together. And now it's down to Miniac to try and pick another map that could be in their advantage again.
Yep. And we're going to be seeing what Miniac picks actually from now on. I think there's a lot of picks that Miniac will go for. I don't think he will like to go for his protect just right now, because it's pretty early on the match, and there's a lot of picks that Miniac will probably go for. And we're going to be seeing, actually, I'm just cursing because he's going for technical one, which is his protect.
Okay, I think that, yep, that's the first Protect being thrown out already, as we can see. So, definitely an interesting one. I do feel like Mini Egg could have some edge when it comes to the more technical maps as well as klobuck, but at the same time, both these players have been relatively close in terms of how well they've been performing thus far, and it's only just into the first two maps. So it's either we're going to be seeing a miss from one of these players at least, or we're going to have to see both FCs on the board, and it comes down to roll accuracy alone, which is going to be scary to say the least.
Yeah, all of these maps are being just getting really close of the great side of things, because these ratios have been really close so far, and it just comes down to whether you can just hold your combo on or you miss. That's how it goes so far.
Yeah, exactly, and that is something that is a pretty common trait with a bunch of these matches going into the round of 16 as well, as far as I've noticed, because of how the difficulty ramps up here. It definitely adds a lot more edge to the sword that sharpens it from the blacksmith in specific. So it definitely adds on to the effect that a lot of these maps matter a lot more, and that you're gonna have to try your best to act through a lot of these, because if not for like roll consistency alone, which is something that you really need, then this is where everything becomes a bloodshed, you know what I mean?
That's for sure, and we start this map pretty close start actually. We see it flickering back and forth, and this is just 0.1. Pretty good start from both of these players. Obviously, Miniac on the lead so far, but not for a lot actually.
Yeah, so far Minia again with a pretty good advantage so far, although the only issue is that the lead is very unsafe as is. Being able to act like a lot of these parents, but kind of dropping yellow 300s here and there on a lot of these short lens as well. That's going to kind of bring things a lot closer, because klobuck has not really showed any faults going into this, even with maybe a few misjudgments here and there.
Yeah, we're going to keep an eye on this, because this lead is just not safe at all. We see it 0.07 away from each other. It just comes down to these last grades and these last buttons. If these players can just hold their lives on this could go either way, as we see this lead flickering back and forth, as I said before. But a couple of grades in the side of klobuck is not going to be really good for him, and this lead is going back to Miniac.
Yeah, Miniac doing really well, being able to maintain such a good score lead going into this final section, but this is where everything, the culmination of the map comes to full fruition, and it's gonna have, and if anything, he needs to not be able to, he needs to try his best to FC for this whole part to be able to guarantee that lead, to be able to guarantee that point, because this is exactly what they're going to be needing, and that is going to be it. The ending of the map comes out that is 3,700 points in the advantage of Miniac, going to be making it 2-1 for now.
Oh my god, these scores are so close. These ratios as well. It's just the act side of things. Both players have seen, but Miniac at the end of the day just being able to keep his composure on and being able to get a 99.63. Really good score from him. klobuck as well have seen, but you see, it's so close so far. I mean, just 3,000 points away of each other.
Oh. And that's a coordination 1 protect being thrown out already as well. That is both protects on the board being taken out, as both players pick it immediately for the second round going.
Yep, the slow coordination being picked. This is actually just a battle of whether you can stay focused or not, because this is actually my worst map in the map pool. I will say it's hardest to say the least, at least to me.
Well, you know what they say. If Muchi says that the map is literally the hardest in the map pool, then it definitely is saying something, you know? So
I mean, I think I'm just bad at this kind of slow peak. You see, it's like 3 minutes and it's just slow releases. So I think it makes sense.
yeah, I mean, honestly, from experience, I'm not even that good with these kinds of maps either, and I'm more of like a Rise Tech main, but then again, I am commentating for an LN tournament after all, so besides from that, obviously, both players going to be making a start with Coordination 1. This is going to be the ultimate nerve test of the round. So, this is actually a map that I have not really seen being picked out that much throughout this weekend thus far, in which this is going to be a little interesting just to see how the tides will shift as the map goes on.
Yeah, that's for sure. And the thing with this map is it's node count, because if you miss, and this node count being so low, a miss can just be fatal for you.
Indeed, and especially this map actually going to be one of the longest maps that we have in the regular map pool. Especially this one clocks in at about 3 minutes and 46 seconds as far as I remember. So nearing that 4-minute marker. This is just second to the longest map in the map pool, which is obviously the tiebreaker. So definitely is going to be worth a note for any player going into a map like this, where you really need that consistency alone.
Indeed, and the reading as well. You need to get your reading on point if you don't want to miss any of those releases. It's pretty easy to misread through this, and so far klobuck doing the work that it's needed. 2,000 points of difference, meaning pretty behind of that accuracy along, and klobuck's actually claiming that back, so pretty comfortable lead, I will say, as we get into the almost the second half of the map.
Yeah, both these players doing really well, being able to maintain full combos on the board. It's really just down to the intrusive misjudgments that bleed out from either side, especially with a lot of these grades that set the two apart. Maniac gonna be falling more victims to them than klobuck is in Contrarian, so that's going to put them about 3,000 points ahead and only flickering as the integers just spanner around quite a bunch of different hundreds in specific.
Yeah, as we see klobuck being really consistent on like Krusky's accuracy, 99.5 so far, as Maniac continues to claim many 200s, and it's not that comfortable. He's not comfortable at all with this kind of pattern, kind of map, so we see why klobuck actually protected this map, so because it's a pretty convincing lead. It's still claiming back to the 4,000 points, and we're approaching the last section of the map, and we'll see if he can continue with this lead, or maybe things swap on again.
Yeah, exactly. And on top of the lead as well being that convincing, it also proves the fact that both these scores as well are just really good for what this map has to offer, especially with this one going to really maximize the amount of misjudgments that you get because of how little nodes there actually are, because of the difficulty, also relying on the releases as well, which is something that not too many players tend to pay attention to in easier maps, and that's why it makes them all the more a different demon to like face off in the dungeon here.
Wait, we see the gap is actually closing a little bit, as klobuck got a couple of 200s at the last map, and we're going to see if that's going to change anything, and we're about to see these last releases just coming in place, and this gap is just closing up to the 1,000 points. We're about to see if there's any 200s, and I don't think there's going to be any, I hope so, as this is 0.06, oh my god! The gap is closing, but it's not going to be enough at the end of the day. 1,700 points of difference. Oh my god, I thought this was going to be a convincing leader, but at the end, klobuck dropping a couple of 200s as we see the same grade count. You see rich difference, and that's going to be the second point, not a save point at all.
Yeah, especially with the ratio battle here being only 70 perfects of a difference. It really proves that this alone came down to the ratio itself, because both these players had equalized on the grades. So it was really just about trying to get as little perfects as possible, because this is exactly the name of the game when it comes to maps like this, where it really takes a toll on your nerve game and your nerve control for that matter. But that aside, that is Coordination 1, so that is all the scarier maps gone from the map pool, so to say. Or maybe not exactly, because we still got quite a good half of the map pool left as we go into Wildcard 2.
Yeah, not any safe maps at all, I would say. So we're about to see how these players are going to be approaching as we get into the best of 5 actually.
Only 4 picks left to see until we see a potential tiebreaker being thrown out. But really, both these players have been so equal in terms of performance that there really isn't anyone that there really isn't any like advantage that sticks out like a sore thumb to any of these players, really. So it's gonna have to come down to one of these players having to at least break the tie, in which maybe we can see a klobuck on this map, but in which Miniegg is gonna want to try and prevent that from happening as well, because the stakes are only just as high while they're both in the losers bracket here.
Yeah, this is a pretty scary losers bracket. Each player is fighting for their lives in the bracket, and we're be seeing Raindrop in a bit. There we go. We see the clients coming up. We're about to see the 5th map of the pool. I mean, the match actually. So, I think this could be one of the closest, if not the closest map we're going to be seeing.
Yeah, this one is going to be quite the bloodshed, as you have been touching on just there. And we can definitely see it already with both these players managing really well with a lot of these shields. Mini are going to be taking a bit of a break, but that doesn't really matter, as klobuck still reciprocates that as well. Both these players kind of basically falling victim to each of these individual releases, and a lot of these really interesting mixtures of LNs and also shield hybrid patterning as well, as we could see, while still retaining the formula that of a wildcard map.
Indeed, this map is really shieldy, and we see 200 points of difference. This is really close, as we are going to be coming to kind of the first card, we will say. And klobuck taking a little bit of damage in that section, couple of 200s, still not the end of the world for him. It's just, he's still holding to this full combo, and it's actually just so close, 300 points of difference, and they are just claiming as we see a tie in the accuracy side of things.
Oh, it's only going into single digits as well. Jeez, what are you doing?
Oh my god.
Oh, that's a great from klobuck. Okay, but still, the lead is basically close to none. There's only just a few 100 points of difference that sets the two apart. It could basically just change at the snap of your fingers if anyone was to miss around here. But how likely is that to happen?
Oh, and klobuck actually getting at 200 before this section is actually one of a huge. There goes the miss from Miniegg, and that's going to swap things so rapidly. The difference just getting higher and higher, back to the 6,000 points. This was going to be so close, and it's just comes down to klobuck, and there goes the miss again.
No. Okay, now both combos were set on the side. Miniegg literally missed, and that gave klobuck the luxury of being able to capitalize off this map, but reciprocating that mistake right there, that is only going to equalize the field once again. None of these players are safe from when it comes to having such scary lead, and it's now going to have to come down to this ending, whether we're going to be seeing the lead shift over, and it's going to be 1,200 points on the side of Miniegg to close this map out.
Oh my god. Okay. Again, just so close. Ratio being better for klobuck. He just did 200 points and then 2 misses. Oh my god. I hate to be right, because I said this was going to be so close, but I didn't expect it to be so close as it was now.
You literally foresaw everything happen 2 minutes before it all went down.
Oh my god.
Like, that's just how you know it's gonna be messed up. Like,
I knew it. I just knew it.
He really knows. But now that is 1 more point on the side of Miniegg, and they are only 1 point away from being able to tie it up to match points. So it's down to klobuck to be able to make the right move here, in which you've practically exhausted a lot of the most regular maps as well. So all you have is the right half the map full, but you're going to be going in for the final coordination map that's going to be coordination free.
I'm actually happy to be seeing all the coordination picks being picked, actually. So this is coordination 3, and I hope my rival in the match doesn't see this, because I didn't play this map. I'm sorry.
I mean, who knows? Maybe you could be bluffing. Who knows? I mean, well, we're not
I wouldn't
really
do that.
To read minds, right? Oh.
I wouldn't do that, actually. Right?
I mean, who knows? If you want the game to be interesting, that is.
Well, going back to the match, actually, coordination 3, as we've seen klobuck taking out of the coordination pick so far. So we are about to see if klobuck can continue with the streak of getting out of the coordination picks so far.
Yeah, coordination 3 is definitely going to be quite an interesting one. Definitely one order that is packed with a bunch of different flavors into one alone, and especially this one going to be a map from the likes of Felix Spade. They are a very versatile Ellen mapper at that as well when it comes to this field, especially outside of their Rice Works in particular.
Yeah. So, Wrecking things on. This is the highest accuracy I've seen in the match. 99.9 so far in the start of the map for Maniac, holding on pretty well as klobuck again 99.6. This is what I've been seeing throughout the map, the matches, and everything so far. Just Maniac holding really high accuracy at the start of the map, and klobuck struggling a little bit to get his accuracy together, but then he just comes back and he can actually claim a little bit as we see 99.87. Wow.
Yeah, for klobuck, having that little bit of a rocky start there, the good thing is that they haven't dropped just yet, so as long as you can at least maintain the FC and try your best to do what you can to recover the accuracy a lot more, then that's going to be what matters the most, because once you have a rocky start, you need to focus a lot more in the recovery game and when it comes to your tournament career, because especially here in maps like this where it really comes down to raw accuracy, it's going to matter a lot as the stakes rise up going into the second half here.
Indeed, what klobuck needs now is just being able to EFC this map and wait until Maniac drops accuracy or just gets a bad judgment. But as I said, that commentator curse, there we go, klobuck gets the miss, and this is going to be a pretty convincing lead as we get into the second half of the map. Actually 10,000 points claiming back for Maniac, holding on his accuracy to get a 90.8, and we are approaching the last quarter of the map actually.
Yeah, that miss from klobuck has probably spelled the lead already for the good remainder of the map, unless we see Maniac reciprocating that of what had happened. But even then, we have seen it before, but as I say that, it's going to happen right on this very instance. I have no idea if you are listening, but mate, you gotta not do that. This is discombobulating your chances of winning, bro. Come on.
And that gap is actually gonna be closing a little bit, but Maniac still has advantage just off his accuracy, 99.7 even with the miss. So even if klobuck can hold on to these last couple sections, I think Maniac can take the point just off of the accuracy.
Yeah, while Maniac has done their best to try and act as well as they can, it really provided a very good safety cushion for their scoreline in general, being about 200 perfects under that of klobuck's score as well, and less greats as well. So they could definitely bleed out a lot of these misses as well, as that's going to bring them to match point. So now, breaking that tie once and for all, it's now time for Maniac to make the final potential pick of the map pool of this round, because now klobuck is in a bit of a dangerous situation. They have to win 2 maps to be able to force the tiebreaker, as they have no other options left on the board to be able to provide any sort of safe way or safe passage into the conditionals tomorrow.
Indeed. Actually, that was the first breakpoint of the match, and what a moment to get a breakpoint on, because now you're into a match point actually, and your opponent is at a really rough situation as he needs to get 2 points and 1 breakpoint again, because this is actually going to be the Maniac's pick. That was klobuck's pick, and I don't know what would you do as if you're klobuck, you're against the wall, because a point now will cost you the match. A point for Maniac actually.
I have a feeling that it's either Tech 2 or Wildcard 1. Okay.
Oh my god. Nice spread it.
A very nanosecond I said it, bro. Damn. Okay, I see you getting giddy in the chat there. You've won, my guy.
I don't know why. I'm having the feeling again that this is going to be so close.
Yeah. I think that's just the thing with these matches in general. Just the fact that these maps